Greetings, I'm Dike Rostant. Welcome back to the TTT News. We raised some interest when we spoke to the mandate of the Funding and Grants Administration Division. It is time to follow that conversation with a look at the work of the Scholarships and Advanced Training Division. To do that, we are joined by human resource specialists in the placement and monitoring of scholars' obligatory service within the Scholarships and Advanced Training Division, Victoria Cattell, and the Human Resource Specialist, Scholarships and Advanced Training Division Selection Secretariat, Mrs. Sonia Rollins. It is time to go in depth. Welcome, Mrs. Rollins. Thank you so much for making the time. I want to start off, though, asking about the mandate of the Scholarships and Advanced Training Division.
Thank you for having us, DK. So the Scholarships and Advanced Training Division's mandate under the umbrella of the Ministry of Education is to administer and manage scholarships and other training awards on behalf of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. There's a cabinet-appointed committee, namely the Scholarships Selection Committee, who has general oversight over the selection processes for these awards and who are also instrumental in developing the policies that guide our operations. As it relates to the goals of the ministry, whose focus is on developing our nation's greatest assets, the Scholarships Division is charged with enabling citizens to realizing their full potential at both the tertiary and professional levels.
So, as with everything, wanting to make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck, making sure that you're functioning effectively, there was some restructuring that took place in 2020. What was that restructuring like, and what were the differences after that exercise, Mrs. Rollins?
So, for the period 2016 to 2019, 400 National CAPE scholarships were awarded annually based on the overall performance of candidates at the Form 6 level. In November of 2020, that particular program was reviewed and restructured to now limit a maximum of 100 national scholarships to be awarded annually. Additionally, a decision was taken to introduce a 500 award national bursary program. So in essence, the opportunities that were afforded to the CAPE cohort, the Form 6 cohort, has expanded from 400 to 600.
And how did that affect, if at all, individuals who would have already started their scholarship journeys? Is it that you were saying, okay, well, we have less now and you no longer make the cut? What was the process on that aspect?
No, but it took effect from November, the 2020 cycle. So persons who may not have been awarded the scholarship now had the opportunity to apply for a national bursary.
And I'm wondering, though, what type of scholarships are offered by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, and the catchment area, who are the intended recipients?
So with the CAPE scholarships, those awards are awarded at 3 different levels. There's an open national scholarship, you have the additional national scholarship, and then we have 2 President's Medal awards. So these awards are awarded to the top 10 highest performing students in 10 cognate groups based on clusters of subjects that they would have pursued at the Form 6 level. The top 5 performing students, they are afforded the opportunity of being granted open national scholarships. Then the subsequent 5 top performing students are offered additional national scholarships. 2 President's Medals are awarded annually, and these are granted to the top 2 highest performing students who would have emerged from the open national scholarship recipients. The national bursaries, it's on a competitive basis, so persons has to apply for the national bursaries. Those are intended for persons who would have sat CAPE over a 2-year consecutive period, including the year of the award. You would have also heard me mention the scholarships that are offered through the government of Trinidad and Tobago. So we also offer scholarships based on established technical cooperation agreements that would have been established between our government and other foreign governments and other external agencies. Two of the more subscribed offerings that we do offer under that particular initiative is an offer that we received from the Republic of Cuba. So this is an opportunity for persons to access studies in Cuba in the field of human medicine. At the undergraduate level, it caters to persons, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago between the ages of 18 to 25, and at the postgraduate level, persons no older than 45. Another most subscribed offering that we do offer is an offer from the Organization of American States as the OAS scholarship. That particular scholarship is open to persons from 18 to 50. The areas of study that are catered to under that initiative is linked to national development. This is a list that you can access on our website, details of which I can give later on. It's catered to that particular list and with the exclusion of medical sciences.
Now, Mrs. Rollins, for me who never smell a scholarship, much less the President's Medal, give me the contact information, please, in terms of engaging with the division to say, okay, well, this is something that I want to apply for, this is something that I'm subscribing for. Also asking, when you say the bursaries are competitive, is it based on timelines, means assessment, the subject that the person is going to be trying to study? How explain that process for me, thanks.
All right, so persons who are interested in applying for the national bursary must meet certain criteria. So the first thing is they must be a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. They must have sat CAPE over a 2-year consecutive period, including the year of the award. They must have 8 units at the CAPE examinations, and they must provide proof of acceptance, proof of application, or proof of enrollment at a locally accredited institution. Further to that, they are assessed on 5 components. All right, so given that they would have met the academic criteria, they are now assigned a score based on the quality of grades that they would have submitted. They are also required to submit a gate-administered national bursary means assessment, which in whole.
And even while we're moving to that, I also want you, because we're going to be speaking with your colleague Victoria Cattell in just a bit, but main takeaways, someone who is looking at this conversation, what is the main thing that you want them to know about the division and say, okay, well, these are the people that I need to check because they can help me further my educational journey?
In terms of the information?
Yes, please.
All right, so the information, well, all our scholarship offerings are advertised on our scholarship website. All right, the website information is www.scholarships.gov.tt. That is the scholarship website. So it's an online application process. There is something called an evaluation framework. So once we advertise the opening of the scholarship offering, there's an evaluation framework that gives the details of the eligibility criteria, the terms and conditions of the offer itself, and what they are going to be entitled to as a recipient of the award.
And thank you so much for whetting our appetites, Mrs. Rollins. I'm sure that a lot of people will be pouring through the information that is available on the website. And we are going to be speaking with your colleague now, so stay with us. We are speaking with members of the Scholarships and Advanced Training Division. We come back with more. Welcome back, where we are speaking to the work of the Scholarships and Advanced Training Division under the Ministry of Education. We just spoke with Mrs. Sonia Rollins. We're now speaking with Victoria Cattell. So welcome, Ms. Cattell. And I want you to start off, though, giving us the difference between a scholarship and a bursary, because we would have used both terms. But what is the distinction? How do you make that line apparent?
Right. So first of all, there are different scholarships. So and the bursary is also considered a scholarship as well. So there's no really differentiation between the two. What is different is that there are scholarships that are offered through the government and there are scholarships offered by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And those offered through the government are scholarships, for example, what Ms. Rawlings would have said, scholarships offered by Cuba, scholarships offered by the Organization of American States, and those that are offered by the government are CAPE scholarships and also the newly implemented National Bursary Scholarships.
All right, so getting that scholarship or bursary is one thing, but seeing that they come from different places, are there different contractual obligations that a recipient might have to adhere to?
Right. So it's a good question that you're asking because we first need to understand what is obligatory service. And we have to define that. So obligatory service is service in the form of employment with the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and or it could be with a state agency and or any approved employment that the government would approve for the scholarship recipient to fulfill their obligatory service. One, then of course, all scholarship recipients must sign a scholarship loan agreement, and that loan agreement indicates that upon the completion of their program of study, their specific program of study, that the scholarship would have been able to cover the cost of that they were required to stay for a specific period. And that is what we would consider obligatory service. And it is based on the total cost of the scholarship. So for example, if somebody studies at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine for 3 years, and the total cost of that scholarship would have accumulated to, for example, $100,000, it would mean that they would stay for 1 year. However, if someone's scholarship cost would have gone beyond $100,000 at a maximum of $300,000, that would be equivalent to 2 years. And we can go on and on. So, for example, somebody who would have studied abroad, for example, they would have gotten an open scholarship and they would have decided to study abroad, and their total scholarship cost would have reached $600,000. Then they would have now to have an equivalent of 5 years of service to the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
But it's one thing, Ms. Cattell, to say that, yes, I'm signing, you have that paper in front of me and I agree. And when you go and you finish and you have your shiny piece of paper saying that you're certified to do this, you don't want to fulfill that obligatory aspect of it. What recourse does the division or the government of Trinidad and Tobago have for a situation like that?
Okay, so first of all, once a scholar completes their program of study, then they are required to report in person. And once they have completed the reporting process, then the government now is responsible for seeking and offering them employment in their particular area of study that they would have completed. Once they have completed the reporting process, we meaning the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, has 3 months to offer them employment. Once we offer them employment, they are required to accept that offer of employment because that would have been part of the whole scholarship loan agreement that they would have signed. Should they decide to not accept the offer of employment, then they will be considered in breach of their scholarship agreement. And what that would mean is that they would be required to repay the government the total cost that would have been expended on the scholarship and any interest that would accrue based on that period.
And is there a time period for that? Because, and that 3 months you're telling me about, that's a rabbit hole that I'm not going to dive down right now because I've heard some stories. But what kind of timeline do you have for the person who's saying, okay, well, you need to repay? You need to repay by what time?
Right, so they have packages presently, and what we would do is we would reach out to the person and let them know that this is the total, and they can decide how they intend to repay. So they would have to indicate to the Ministry of Education, Scholarships and Advanced Training Division how they intend to do that repayment over a period of time.
All right, and
There are options.
okay, and I'm enjoying being a little devil's advocate right now, Ms. Cattell, but answer the
Right
person.
ahead.
Answer the person who says, why do I need to do this in the first place? What's the need for obligatory service being tied to scholarships and bursaries?
Right, and I would explain it as simple as this. The government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago sees the need to invest in their human capital resource, which is their valuable asset. And by investing in them, they look for return of investment. I see it as when you deposit, you expect to get at some point go into a form of withdrawal, because that is what we do. We give in terms to be able to get back. We deposit with the intention that sometime we are going to withdraw based on that deposit. Service should be seen as a privilege, and I would explain to you why it should be seen as a privilege and an honor to do, and something that should be given serious thought when someone decides to accept a scholarship. One, because it is geared towards the development of the country. And the Ministry of Education has strategically, over the years, been committed to that objective. And they have invested. So once they have invested, they are looking for a return on that investment. And persons who would have been recipients would have benefited from that investment over the years. And it should be something that is willingly now being done, understanding that I'm going to give back because something was deposited in me.
And I really appreciate that answer, Ms. Cattell. But outside of scholarships and bursaries offered by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, does the division help with other funding opportunities?
Presently, unfortunately, no, we don't. We specifically deal with scholarships and scholarships alone, whether it is scholarships offered by the government, as I would have indicated and Ms. Rollins would have indicated before, or through the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
And how does that external scholarship, how is it administered or facilitated?
Right, so the external scholarships, as Ms. Rollins would have explained, is a competitive scholarship. So you have to apply for it when it's advertised. And then we have, of course, the Scholarship Selection Committee, who has been appointed by Cabinet to do the selection and the nomination process for those scholarships, whether it is Cuba or whether it is the Organization of American States.
And I really like the statement that you made saying that service is a privilege. And moving in terms of like getting ready to close, what are the main takeaways that you'd have someone who is actually on scholarship or bursary now, or someone who says that this is the way that I'm going to continue my education, takeaways that you'd want them to have from this conversation, Ms. Cattell?
I would encourage someone who has been a beneficiary of a scholarship to really acquire all the knowledge and skills that they can while they are pursuing their studies, with the intention that they are going to come back and serve willingly, passionately, and with a desire to make a great impact in their area of study for the development of this country.
Because many times it's not what you do, it's also how you do it. But we want to thank you so much. We want to thank you so much, Victoria Cattell, as well as Sonia Rollins from the Scholarship and Advanced Training Division. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, thank you for joining us.